guys, welcome back to my channel. I apologize for my voice, I'm still getting over the flu. So as part of our Diwali baking series, I will be showing you how to make some yummy Raffeolo cookies today. These are crunchy on the inside because we're using 2 types of toasted nuts, and then we dip them in white chocolate and some coconut. I will be also toasting the coconut just to give it some extra crunch. These are those type of cookies that you just can't stop eating one. You have to go back for more. So let's start baking. So the ingredients we will be using today for our Raffeolo cookies, I've got 250 grams of Moy River butter, half a cup of castered sugar, then I've got a cup of nuts, half a cup of pecan nuts and half a cup of almond nuts, which is 1 cup. I have roasted them lightly and I have chopped them by hand. You don't want to blitz them in your blender. 2 cups of corn flour, which is maizena, 2 cups of cake flour, some white chocolate and some coconut. I did slightly tint my coconut, but that's totally optional. So the butter is at room temperature but not melted. It's important not to use melted butter, and the temperature of the weather also plays a big part of these cookies coming out perfect, almost like macarons. It's hard, you can't do it in a very hot day, or the butter has just got to be just right, not too soft and not too hard, so just in between. All my dry ingredients have been sifted, and even though I have 2 cups of cake flour here, I'm only going to be adding enough to get a moldable dough. So I'm using a stand mixer today, but you could use a hand mixer, and whichever is easier for you. So now we're going to start making the cookies. Let's start making our dough. So to our stand mixer, we're going to be adding the butter and our castered sugar, and we're going to cream both these together. I'm just going to get my attachment. I'm going to cream this until it's pale in color. So our butter and castered sugar has been combined. I didn't over mix this because I don't want too much air in our dough. I forgot to mention that we're also using some caramel essence, and I'm going to be using 2 teaspoons. I will list the ingredients and quantities in the description. And I'm gonna let this beat just for a minute or so. So our essence has blended into the butter and castered sugar. It's very important not to get too much of air going in here because you don't want that type of cookie. So I'm going to be adding our corn flour, and our nuts, and I'm going to be adding half of the cake flour for now, and just add more as we need. So this is what our dough is going to look like, pretty firm, because we need to mold these. So I am going to get our baking tray ready. So we're going to mold them into round balls, and then we're ready to bake. I am going to be putting my oven on now at 180 degrees, and in the meanwhile it's going to heat up, and then we're ready to bake the cookies. So this is the baking tray. I did spray it with spray and cook, but it should not stick because if you're using butter has enough fat, so it's non-stick. So now we're going to mold our cookies. So I'm just going to estimate them the same size, but you could measure these with your kitchen scale, and you don't want them too big, so I think about that size. And just leaving some room for them to bake. So we're just gonna continue with all of them. So the cookies are cooked. They've been cooking for 20 minutes, and these cracks are fine. Those cracks are because of the nuts. The nuts cause those cracks, but it's actually very nice because the chocolate gets into those grooves and you're getting more chocolate and a sweeter cookie. So it's still a bit warm. Ideally you should be dipping in chocolate when it's warm. So now I'm just going to melt our chocolate quickly. So I've melted the chocolate. This is 300 grams of chocolate. We're probably going to need more. I usually use 500 grams, and the coconut, and I've got these little cases to put them in. So I am going to start dipping them. They're still warm, which is actually perfect. Making sure they're covered. We're going to be using lots of chocolate. And we're just going to toss that in the coconut. So that's what it's going to look like. So we're just going to continue. It's actually quite pretty. The chocolate is still wet, so we're just going to leave that to dry. I'm just going to change this to a bigger spoon. So these are most of the cookies covered. I've still got 10 left. I need to melt more chocolate, and this is how it looks in the case. So it's nice because when you're eating, the coconut kinds of falls, so it's quite handy to have something to fall onto. So guys, I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope you're going to give it a try. Give it a thumbs up, and please remember to subscribe and share. Thank you. Take care until our next video.